Our pal Chris out as well, Rays radio voice. What's going on, brother? It's so great to hear you back on the air, especially after a victory. There's just something right about you taking over for our guys, Andy Fried and Neil Solons, after a Rays victory, and 3 out of 4 times already to start the season, man. How's the start of the season for you?
Well, thanks for having me, Jay. Me and my light switch here. I guess I'm
Yeah,
reversed here in
buddy.
the image. Yeah, I got the fan switch and the light switch.
I love
Lights
it.
are on, though, and they were
I love
last
it.
night at Steinbrenner Field, the first night game. And the Rays probably played their most complete game of the season so far, I would say. 6-1 winners. They pitched really well. Drew Rasmussen with 5 scoreless innings. And then Hunter Biggie had his first multi-inning outing of the season, 2 more shutdown innings for him. Mason Englert made his Rays debut. He allowed the lone run of the game, but still just 1 run over 1 inning. And then Manny Rodriguez had a 1-2-3 ninth. So that was encouraging to see. But the real story was Jake Mangum last night. Again, made his big league debut 2 nights ago after taking a 3-hour Uber from Norfolk, Virginia to AAA Durham to get his stuff after he learned that he was being promoted to the big leagues for the first time. And then what does he do in just his second major league game last night? He gets his first big league hit, then he gets another one, then he gets one from the other side of the plate because he's a switch hitter, and then he gets a 4th one. So he goes 4 for 4, hits from both sides of the plate, had a couple of stolen bases, knocked in 2 runs. It was all in all an unbelievable day at Steinbrenner Field, unbelievable night, I should say, and we'll do another night game. But you're right, Jay, you hit it right on the head there. This is a really good start for the Rays. We would have loved for them to win the first 4 games, but 3 out of 4, that's the next best thing. 3-1 through the first 4, that isn't bad at all.
Did we find out how much that Uber was?
I still need to ask Jake about it. No, that is on my list of things to do. He said that the Uber driver's name was Anna and that she was an angel, and she had to have been, right, if she was going to take all that time to drive him from Virginia to North Carolina. But, I mean, the Rays are thrilled to have Jake Mangum. I think he's a great clubhouse guy in addition to a great baseball player. And it's MP3 out there in the outfield, right? Jake Mangum, Cameron Meisner, and Christopher Morel, M&M, whatever you want to call them. They all contributed last night, all had RBIs. Probably not how you thought the outfield was going to look this early in the season, but obviously the injuries to Josh Lowe and Johnny DeLuca getting the night off yesterday created an opportunity for those guys, and that is so ingrained in the Rays culture, this next man up mentality. Cameron Meisner, a walk-off home run on opening day, his first big league home run, and then last night in just the 4th game of the season, Jake Mangum gets his first 4 big league hits. It's storybook kind of stuff, and I know they're playing the Rockies and the Pirates. The competition, I think, will get a bit stiffer, and again, I don't want to disrespect those organizations because we are so early on in the season. We know that they have talent, but we know the Braves are coming in. We know that they're also 0-5. We know that the Angels are coming in, and they're 3-1 right now. And then that'll be followed up by the Red Sox, who are 1-4, and the Yankees, of course, in their torpedo bats. So it's an exciting time. They're going to Texas this weekend, though. That's always been a challenging place for the Rays to play. But 3-1, you have to feel good if you're a Rays fan this early on in the season.
Yeah, I'm starting to think of like nicknames in my head for that outfield, like check the tape 3M, because 3M.
That's what I called them last night on the postgame show. Exactly.
3MD because of the defense out there, like
Love
DMD. 3. Yeah, we're gonna go.
MP3 I like because you got
like MP3.
M and then P for players, right? And then there's 3 of them, so you can call them MP3 out there.
Race 3, the tree. Man, we could do this. We could do the whole show on this, my brother. But yeah, and I know it's everybody always it happens every year, right? It doesn't even matter when it happens. The same thing was when they were 13-0. Well, who are they playing? Blah blah blah. This you gotta win and you gotta beat the teams in front of you. And I just think it's like the lamest argument in sports when people are like, yeah, well, who did they play? That could be part of the conversation, but it's not like these teams have an opportunity before the season to go, you know what? I'm going to play 6 against the Yankees. I'm going to play 25 against the last place team in the NL Central. Like, it's just not the way it goes. This isn't a la carte where you pick who you get a chance to play. So, yeah, I'm with you, man. You got to beat the teams in front of you. And it'd be one thing if the Rays weren't playing well, Chris, and then the other team was just like pooping on themselves even more, right? They're playing the best Rays teams in history are the ones that are the most complimentary. They hit they pitch, they play defense, and I think we've seen that through 4 games.
Oh, I think you're absolutely right. You can't choose your schedule, right? And the Rays have a ton of home games right out of the gate. 19 of their first 22 games will be at Steinbrenner Field, with the exception of the 3 this weekend in Arlington when they take on the Texas Rangers. And then after that, you can go further down the schedule. 37 of their first 54 games will be at home. And you're going to play everybody, right? I mean, the Major League Baseball schedule has changed over the last couple of years. So what? So you're starting off with the Rockies and the Pirates. Neil Solondz brought this up on the broadcast the other night. Those teams might not necessarily know that they aren't good enough yet. So this is, you could argue, a tougher time to get teams like that. But Texas, we know, is good. Bruce Bochy tends to win his World Series every other year. He won in 2023. With Texas. Maybe this is the year for them, and we know what he did with the San Francisco Giants, winning in all those even years. But I'm with you. Even the game the Rays lost, Jay, they out-hit the Rockies 12-6 on Saturday, and the Rockies just played stellar defensively. I think Kyle Farmer, their second baseman, said that that was the best defensive game he's ever been a part of in his career at any level. I mean, the Rockies, they made all the plays. And Taylor Walls, the Rays shortstop, was wondering aloud during the postgame show if there was another game where more runs had been saved by a defensive team over the last handful of years, because he said that was just about the most impressive defensive display that he's ever seen. You got to kind of like games like that, though, because it does show that defense, which isn't talked about nearly as much as hitting or pitching, is incredibly valuable. You can save all those runs. That's one of the reasons why Taylor Walls is as valuable as it is. And the Rays defense, I think, has gotten better over the last 3 games. Opening day, little shaky, but they've done a really nice job. And Jose Caballero is a big reason as to why that's happened too. Not only has he gotten it done at the plate, he laid down a beautiful bunt, which scored a run on Sunday against Colorado, but he's been turning some double plays. He's going to play a little outfield too. Last night he was filling in at shortstop for Taylor Walls, who got a breather. So I think you really have to like where the Rays are at. And again, you can't pick your schedule, right? You only have to play who's in front of you. But the Rays should do well. They know how many home games they have. They're going to want to bank as many of those as they can, because in the second half of the season, they are going to be on the road a lot. And we know that it's a lot more challenging to win away from Steinbrenner Field than it is at Steinbrenner Field. So far, so good, though. 3 wins out of 4 games. We'll take it.
Yeah, I mentioned this before. John Cooper always speaks about it with the Lightning, about munching points early on in the season. Don't care how they look. Just get them in the bank, because they can never take it away from you. Same thing here with the Rays. Just bank and munch as many wins as you can get. They're not going to ask you at the end of the year, well, how many are against the Rockies? How many against the Pirates? They don't care about that. Just win as many as you can. I want to ask you about that offense, Chris, because one thing that I've always, and I brought it up to anybody that would listen with the Rays, they're always on the forefront of pitching. They're always on the forefront of defense, whether it's the shift or the opener. And I always wonder, like, how come there is not an opportunity to do that offensively? And I'm not even talking about the torpedo bats, but even like different ways to bunt, or maybe putting the slash, and maybe doing some things that we see in college baseball that works a little bit more. And I know the big leagues are a different animal, but I just thought that, and I brought this up to Kevin Kiermaier. This is before you were in Tampa. I said, why don't you bunt more? He's like, it's not my thing. And I go, you batting 230, KK? And he's like, it's just not my thing, Jay. What do you want me to tell you? I'm like, okay, it was a fun conversation. But I always thought the Rays can't go out and buy a 40 home run, 120 RBI bat. You got to play small ball a little bit more. You got to hit and run. You got to put some bunts down. I feel like we're starting to see a little bit of that. Caballero is kind of the perfect example of, what do you need me to do, coach? I'll steal a bag. I'll get a bunt down. Do you kind of see, I know it's only 4 games, but do you kind of see that type of thing where, hey, maybe we do have to get a little bit more creative offensively, because we know the pitching and defense is there?
I think you're seeing it play out in real time. I think
I
Jose Caballero, I'm pretty sure he put that bunt down himself. I don't think that was a play that the Rays called, and it was a squeeze play. I believe there was a runner on third, and he just laid it down beautifully. Kevin Cash has talked about this early on in the season, And this is why, unfortunately, Brady Williams, the Rays third base coach, got some flack on Saturday because he sent a couple of runners home. They were both thrown out of the plate, but that's because the Rockies executed these defensive plays so well.
Right.
But Cash has talked about it. The Rays want to be aggressive and really push the envelope early on. And let's be honest, it's early on in the season. Maybe there's still some jitters, some nerves from the other side, and you were hoping that the Rockies would mess up one of those throws to lead to a run for the Rays. I like this mentality. I think it's good. The Pittsburgh Pirates, look at them. They came in last night having swiped 15 stolen bases out of 16 attempts in a series against the Marlins in which they lost 3 out of 4. All 3 of those losses were walk-offs. Like, think about how they're feeling, but we know that they can run. We know that the Rays can run too. Taylor Walls, Johnny DeLuca, Jose Caballero, the list goes on and on. Cameron Meisner. I mean, they have some serious athletes on this squad. I'm a little concerned about the home run production so far, but again, they're dealing with some elements that they haven't before. The wind has been pretty unpredictable and weird at Steinbrenner so far this season. Obviously, it did not affect Cameron Meisner's walk-off on Friday, but they only have Brandon Lau's 2-run home run from Sunday, and I believe those are the only 2 home runs that the Rays have hit through the first 4 games this season. So if they can get creative, like you're suggesting, and start to sow chaos in other ways, I think if any team is more capable of doing it, I'm not sure there is one other than the Tampa Bay Rays. And I love that bunt from Jose Caballero. That was out of nowhere, and that one was for the purists, right? What are they going to say now? Because they are bunting a little bit.
Yeah, I like that because I feel like I may have been one of in the minority. There's always in the last decade or so, well, we don't want to give away outs, and I was like, well, it's not about out prevention, it's about run production. And I feel like at times you want to stay out of the double play, you want to move runners, you want to get a guy. Hey, maybe a pitcher's throwing really well, right? And he finally walks the guy. Well, sometimes you lay down a bunt, he gets off the mound, he picks up a ball and he throws it into right field, and now run rabbit run, you have a totally different outcome, and you didn't even have a base hit. It's a walk and an error on the pitcher. Now you have runners on second and third with nobody out, and you still don't have a hit. I just think there's different ways to look at it. What have you seen from Junior Caminero so far this season? A lot of people were asking me about like the pressure. Don't want to put too much pressure on him. I go, I don't know if you can put pressure on this kid. He's playing third base. He's going to be batting in the middle of the lineup. He just played winter ball, was the best player out there. I don't know if I'm worried about pressure when it comes to Junior Caminero. What about you? Are you, I don't want to say concerned, but like, what are you keeping an eye on for him? Let's say these first like 25, 30 games of the season.
I don't think it's possible to put pressure on a guy like Junior Caminero, a guy who wants to be in the spotlight more than just about anyone else. He's La Maxima. He's got the chains. He's got the earrings. I mean, he wants to be up in those big situations, and he got an opportunity to do that on Sunday against the Rockies, coming off the bench as a pinch hitter. I think Kevin Cash said, I would have preferred a 3-run homer, but you know what? Caminero got up there with his torpedo bat. He sent a spinner up the middle, and then all of a sudden it was deflecting off gloves. The Rockies were throwing it all over the place. It was eventually, at first, a 3-error inning for the Rockies, but it eventually came down to just 1 error in that inning. But you could have made the argument that there were 3. Junior ends up with that RBI single. And look, he's not hammering the ball quite yet, but he does have, I think, 5 or 6 hits to show for his performance so far through the first 4 games this season. He's young. We know that. He's 21 years old, and maybe it'll take him a little bit to get going. Like I mentioned, the Rays have hit just 2 home runs through the first 4 games. But like you said too, Jay, you don't have to hit home runs to win ball games. The Rays proved that on Sunday. Yeah, they got the 2-run home run from Brandon Lau, but this was a 2-2 game before that pinch hit appearance by Junior Caminero, and they end up with a 4-run inning just because they're bunting, they're hitting ground balls in strange places and difficult places for the Rockies defense. So I think I agree with you, and Junior Caminero, he's going to be fine. I think the one thing for him is we need him to stay healthy, because last season he started in AAA Durham, but then he had, I think, a couple of quad injuries, if not definitely one, that ruled him out 4 to 6 weeks. He finally came back up. Wasn't his major league debut, because you'll remember he did make his big league debut in 2023, but he got kind of a limited run up here last season. But now this was his first opening day, and hopefully this will be his first full season with the Rays. But I like what I see so far. Even his defense has been a little bit better than it was on opening day. And again, maybe you can chalk those up to nerves, jitters.
Yeah.
We were all watching that game like, boy, this is strange, huh? To not be at the Trop, but this is still a home game for the Rays. So I think he's going to be just fine, and he fits in so well in the middle of that lineup.
Yeah, I think the infielders too, practicing and playing on turf for so long, playing on grass, and I know they do it in spring training, and just I think that's just another thing. I think people will and people will say, all right, well, they play on grass in spring training. It should be the same then for that first regular season game. You add in the intensity, you add in that energy of opening day and those first couple of games, and you're jitter, right? And you're not used to that. You're not used to that those combinations, those different parts of the recipe. And I got no issues with it. I think he's a much better defender than I think initially thought. Some people, I think you brought it up to me. It was like people comparing him like Adrian Beltre, and I was like, "Whoa, Adrian Beltre, that was my guy." But I mean, you don't say that. You don't say that about somebody unless he can hit and play defense, because we know what type of defender he was. And, I don't know if he's ever going to drop down to one knee and hit home runs, but if he does, then that'll be the best comp. Before I get you out of here, I want to ask you about the starter for tonight's game with Shane Baz. He's got all the stuff in the world. I don't know if we've ever seen like the entire season for Shane Baz. Like, I don't know if we've ever seen kind of the guy that we know that I think he could be, right? I'm so excited to see the 2025 season for this right-hander, because I doubt many teams in baseball have a guy that they're going on their fifth day that has the stuff of this young man.
Yeah, and you add to that, Jay, the fact that he's going up against the team that originally drafted him for the first time in the big leagues, the Pittsburgh Pirates. Baz was the 12th overall pick back in 2017, and he was, of course, a part of that Tyler Glasnow deal, the Chris Archer trade that was so infamous, and he was the player to be named later in that deal. So this is a big night for Shane Baz. The starting pitching for the Rays has been extraordinary. I believe they've allowed just 3 or 4 earned runs over their first 23 innings, so that's good for a 1.56 ERA, I think. So let's go down the list, right? Ryan Pepio, Zach Littell, Taj Bradley, Drew Rasmussen. They have all pitched terrifically. Rasmussen was the only one who did not give up an earned run, but the other guys, Pepio just 1 earned run on opening day, Littell just 1 earned run Saturday, Taj just 2 earned runs on Sunday. So what's that? 4 earned runs over, I think, 23 innings, a 1.56 ERA, and I think they have walked just 1 batter, if you can believe that. So
money.
I imagine Shane Baz is going to go out there, and remember, this guy made his major league debut in 2021. This was the first opening day in 2025 where he was active and on the roster and was there. That is really hard to believe. He's excited, though. We talked to him yesterday in the Rays clubhouse, and I fully expect Shane Baz to go out there, do his thing, hopefully 5-6 innings of 1 or 2 run ball, and then hopefully the Rays offense comes through and they score runs in bunches like they did yesterday. They batted around for the second consecutive game yesterday, and I think Shane Baz is going to have a great performance. He's going up against someone named Tom Harrington tonight, who is the Pirates' number 3 prospect and is making his big league debut this evening. So no pressure on him, but it should be a nice battle of one top prospect for the Pirates against one former top prospect for the Pirates.
Thomas Harrington. It's so funny because out of Campbell University, it's funny because when you look up Tom Harrington, I was looking at this morning. The first thing that comes up is a Canadian radio and TV journalist and an Australian rules football.
I mean, if you say Thomas Harrington, I immediately think, oh, that sounds like the 19th president of the United States or something like that. Like you could buy into that. But yeah, he is. He's a fighting camel. Played for Campbell University down there with where Ryan Thompson went there, right? The former Rays reliever. Exciting moment for him too, right? But hopefully Shane Baz will come out on top. I just want to say I've been getting a ton of calls on the postgame show about the experience at Steinbrenner Field. People really seem to be enjoying themselves. So come on down, come see us, and hopefully the Rays will be 4-1 after tonight.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'm going through some stuff here at the house, and I'll definitely be there next week when the guys return home. So I can't wait to see you. And I'm praying that Shane Baz outpitches Sir Thomas Harrington IV, because because I feel like that's his name. So Thomas Harrington the fourth. All right, real quick before I let you go, who hits a home run tonight? Because we talked about it too much. Is tonight the junior night? Is Junior Caminero home run night?
I'm going to go with Danny Jansen tonight.
Okay,
I think Danny Jansen is due. He had a really good spring training. I saw him hit a home run in a 2-inning game against the Twins that did not count, but he homered in his first at bat of spring training. Some of you might remember against the Boston Red Sox, his former team. So I like Danny Jansen tonight. We'll see if he's in the lineup though, right? Because Harrington's in there. Danny caught last night, so maybe you're going to see Ben Rortvedt. I'll go with Ben if Danny's not in there. And I'll also say, yeah, let's go Junior Caminero. This is his night. Let's get him his first home run of the season, too.
Caminero and Catcher. Catcher and Caminero hitting home runs tonight. When that happens, you tag us on social media at Chris Adamswall, at Jay Recher. Chris, always great catching up. I'll see you next weekend at the park, my friend. Be well.
You too, man. Thanks.
Thanks, buddy.